They built a platform where anyone could see what a home might be worth, then watched as that estimate quietly began to replace the professionals who had always controlled that information. It looked like transparency. It looked like trust. It slowly shifted the power in the transaction away from the people who depended on controlling it. Right now, somewhere in the world, a board of directors is approving a decision that looks perfectly rational. The numbers check out. The risks seem manageable. The analysts agree. 10 years later, that decision is cited as the moment everything began to unravel. This is the autopsy of one of those decisions. By the late 2000s, Zillow was not just another real estate website. It had become a destination. Millions of users were typing in addresses, zooming across neighborhoods, and checking home values with a level of ease that had never existed before. The company positioned itself as a neutral platform, a place where buyers and sellers could explore the market without friction, without gatekeepers, without needing permission. At the center of that experience was a single feature, the Zestimate, a number generated by an algorithm attached to nearly every home in America. It was imperfect, sometimes wildly so, but it did something more important than accuracy. It created a reference point. It gave people a starting number before they ever spoke to an agent. And once that number existed, it became difficult to ignore. For Zillow, the logic was clear. More data meant more engagement. More engagement meant more traffic. And traffic could be monetized through advertising, agent leads, and premium placements. The company was not selling homes. It was selling attention. And the Zestimate was the engine that kept people coming back, checking again, refreshing, comparing, imagining. But that same feature created tension with the very industry Zillow depended on. Real estate agents had always operated as interpreters of value. Pricing a home required local knowledge, judgment, and experience. The Zestimate reduced that complexity to a single number on a screen. It did not replace agents overnight, but it changed the starting point of every conversation. Clients arrived with a number already in mind, anchored before any professional input could adjust it. Zillow faced a choice. It could remain a platform, facilitating transactions and selling access to its audience, or it could move deeper into the transaction itself. The traffic was there. The data was there. The opportunity to capture more of the value chain was obvious, and so the company made a decision that looked like the next logical step. They began buying homes. Through a program called Zillow Offers, the company positioned itself as an iBuyer. Homeowners could receive a direct offer, skip the traditional listing process, and sell quickly with certainty. Zillow would then resell the property, capturing the spread. It was a move from marketplace to market participant, from observer to operator. And on paper, it made perfect sense. Zillow had pricing data at scale. It had visibility into demand patterns. It had user behavior across millions of searches. If any company could algorithmically price homes and turn that into a repeatable business model, it would be the one already sitting on the data. The belief was straightforward. What had started as an estimate could evolve into a transaction engine. But housing is not software. Unlike digital products, homes are physical, local, and unpredictable. Small differences in condition, timing, or neighborhood dynamics can shift value in ways that are difficult to model. The Zestimate had always been an approximation, a tool for engagement. Turning that approximation into a purchase decision introduced a different level of risk. Now, errors were not just theoretical. They were financial. As Zillow scaled its buying operation, it needed volume. The model depended on acquiring enough homes to smooth out variance, to make the averages work. That meant making offers quickly, often based on incomplete or imperfect information. The company leaned on its algorithms, trusting that data at scale would compensate for individual inaccuracies. At the same time, the housing market was shifting. Demand surged, prices moved rapidly, and local conditions changed faster than historical data could reflect. The models were trained on the past, but the market was behaving in the present. Small miscalculations began to compound. A home purchased slightly above market could not always be resold at the expected price. Renovation costs fluctuated. Holding times extended, margins compressed. Inside the system, the signals were there. Inventory was building. Homes were sitting longer than expected. The spread between purchase price and resale price was tightening. What had looked like a data advantage began to look like exposure. The very scale that was supposed to protect the model started to amplify its weaknesses. Zillow faced another decision. It could slow down, reduce purchases, and recalibrate its models, or it could continue pushing volume in an attempt to maintain growth and market position. Slowing down would signal uncertainty. Continuing would require confidence that the system would correct itself. The pressure to prove the model worked at scale made the second option difficult to avoid. And then the math broke. By 2021, Zillow announced it was shutting down its home buying business. Thousands of properties needed to be sold. The company took on significant losses, writing down inventory that could not be resold at expected prices. What had been framed as a natural extension of its platform became a retreat from a core strategic bet. The shift was abrupt, but the underlying cause had been building for years. The Zestimate, the feature that had driven engagement and growth, was never designed to carry the weight of direct transactions. It was a tool for approximation, not execution. The decision to treat it as a foundation for buying and selling homes at scale introduced a level of precision the system could not consistently deliver. Zillow returned to its original model, focusing again on being a platform rather than a principal. The traffic remained. The audience remained. But the attempt to capture more of the transaction had revealed a boundary. Data could inform the market. It could influence behavior. But it could not eliminate the complexity of the underlying asset. What made the decision so compelling at the time was the same thing that made it fragile. The success of the platform created the belief that adjacent opportunities were extensions, not transformations. That moving from estimating value to transacting on value was a natural progression, rather than a fundamental shift in risk. The company did not fail. It adapted. But the episode left a clear marker. There is a difference between building tools that shape a market and stepping into the market itself. One scales with information. The other absorbs the consequences of being wrong. What company today is making the exact same mistake, clinging to the past while a competitor builds the future?